so much into it and have invested so much into it, you know, and so you understand that these opportunities are few. So yeah, it's disappointing. If you're not the one holding up the trophy at the end of the year, it's disappointing.
You tip your hats to Minnesota that they deserve to win, and it's always difficult when it happens in the playoffs. You know, there's no follow-up games, so you go from there.
Some classy comments there by Sean Payton, who I'm sure is shocked that his season ended as quickly as it did. But Michael Robinson and D'Angelo Hall, you got to respect the way the Vikings showed up for this one and did all the things that people said that they could not do.
Yeah, you got to respect it. I mean, and I have to go out here. Where's my single? Put me on my single.
Show him some love.
Kirk Cousins, I'm sorry. I was a hater of yours.
A hater.
I didn't think that you can win in big-time games, but not only did you deliver, you showed up and you showed out. And, of course, I have some tape to show you exactly what I'm talking about. The Minnesota Vikings did a great job of not letting Kirk Cousins be the entire show. Dalvin Cook in this run game is the show for this offense. You look at this play right here. We used to call this 14 Mike, where the fullback leads up on the Mike linebacker. But Dalvin, he fills the cornerback blitz, so he jumps cuts and goes to the other lane and finishes the run like a barreling ball of butcher knives. That's what we call it in the running back meeting room, guys. And then you look at right here. This is the play action, and watch how Kirk Cousins identifies the only person on the field that's in single coverage, which is Adam Thielen right here, and then he delivers a perfect pass. This is how you want to see Kirk Cousins throwing the football. Look at this catch right here. Look at the high hands by the receiver. He doesn't even see it go into his hands. That's why you hold your hands high, because your eyes lose the ball the last 6 inches of the ball while it's in flight. So I thought it was a great opportunity for Kirk Cousins to show his growth as a leader and as a quarterback. Check this out. The Vikings this year, they were 9-2 when Kirk Cousins has fewer than 35 pass attempts. This past week, he only had 31. They're 1-3 when he has 35-plus pass attempts. That tells me Kirk Cousins cannot be the show. He has to play complimentary football, and I thought he did a great job of it yesterday.
But then he has to make plays, right?
Yeah,
he is the complement to Dalvin Cook, he has to make the play. He did that in this one. Yeah. What happened to the Saints, though?
You know, that's the question I think we all are trying to figure out. Even today, you hear Sean Payton, you hear Drew Brees' tone. No one expected this to happen. I think when we looked at this playoff schedule, I think we all thought the Saints had the easiest path, right? We thought, Kirk Cousins would be who he was. But the Saints, just from the start of this football game, it just didn't seem like them. Just the energy in
They were drinking the Kool-Aid, huh? They thought they were going to win, too, huh?
Drinking the Kool-Aid, man. But, Drew Brees is doing things that he normally doesn't do. He doesn't throw into double coverage like that. That safety, he didn't even look him off. Alvin Kamara didn't quite look like himself running the football. This Saints team just came out with no energy. And, I heard some people say that the stadium was rocking. And it probably was as that game got close. But, I talked to Steve Weiss, who was down there. And he said, no, D-Hall, this stadium was silent when we first got into this, for the game to start. He said it was nowhere near like it was when the Rams came in there. Or he even spoke about when we opened back up the Superdome after Katrina. That atmosphere was not conducive to go in there and win a football game. And you saw it.
They had scored 34 points at least in 4 straight games and in 6 of their last 7. And then the Vikings D, who I think people thought was good, but maybe not good enough to hold them to 20 points, held them to 20 points. So the D for Minnesota gets a lot of credit here, too.
Yes, I played for Mike Zimmer, and we all knew that he would somehow pull out his bag of tricks, but we didn't think it would look like this, to where he made Drew Brees, a guy who we've been politicking to, hey, why is he not on this 100 list, right? I think Drew showed you why he's not on that 100 list. Everybody
has an off day. Williams fighting words. Seahawks, Eagles. How did the Carson Wentz injury change the complexion of this game?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, in Seattle, look, don't be mad at me. I still got to come home. I hope my key card still works, right? But if Carson Wentz would have stayed healthy in this game, I really think that the Philadelphia Eagles would have won this game. When you watch Josh McCown, when you look at the tape, he missed some passes. Yeah. He missed some things that Carson Wentz would have completed. You look at right here.
Practice reps.
He didn't get any practice reps. Again, this was a game plan for Carson Wentz. You go through your read, and you see Josh McCown right here go through 1 to 2. The ball's supposed to go right here to the number 3 Reed, but of course he bails on the play a little bit early, and he ends up taking an unnecessary hit that you don't want your 40-year-old backup quarterback taking. You look at right here again. This is a simple play, okay? You stare at the guy in the middle of the field or squeeze the linebackers, and you see Zach Ertz in the hole right behind it. And this is the play that I thought would have changed the game. You got Jadeveon Clowney in coverage. What? Just put it on him. We call this hot by coverage. You have to put it on your running back. You put the ball on your running back. Miles Sanders puts a move on the safety. You could have 6 right there. So when I look at the tape, of course Carson Wentz, you have to think Carson Wentz would have hit those passes. He was the whole game plan was for him.
He's been on fire in December.
Exactly.
And Lindsay, we all do it. It's easy to say if he was in the game, this would have happened. But I know that other guy, Russell Wilson, knows too. If Carson Wentz is in that game, this is the way the Seattle Seahawks play football. No matter what's going on, it is, we're going to make one more play than you. And so even though Carson Wentz, if he gets out there, if he's still out there and he doesn't get knocked out of that game.
But you act like Russell can cover tight ends and stuff too. He's not.
Russ can't cover tight ends, but this offense kind of toned it down a little bit because they didn't need to do much, and they knew they didn't need to do much.
Think they call a different game?
Yeah,
so you telling me Brian Schottenheimer's sitting on the sideline, he's sitting on the sideline, he's like, oh, Carson Wentz down. Let me scrap the playbook we worked on all week, and let's do something else.
Well, I don't think it's 17-9. I don't think the score is 17-9 if Carson's is still in that ball game. And so Seattle has to keep their foot on the gas pedal instead of taking it off.
It was 17-9 the last time they played.
Earlier this season. I know.
Isn't that weird? I'm not saying because Carson looked very good at the end of the year.
Just
so
saying.
It's a valid point, but it's weird that they were 17-9 both times they played. Big win for the Seahawks. They're first in the playoffs since 2016. Now they'll go for another one Sunday in Green Bay in the last game of the weekend. It is at 6:40 Eastern. Right after Texans Chiefs. As for the first day of games, it's Vikings Niners and Titans Ravens. A little AFC NFC mix each day.
Lindsay got the latest headlines for you right now. Tua made it official today. He is going pro. Alabama's star quarterback Tua Tagovailoa announcing he will enter this year's draft. Tua was considered a top prospect, but he suffered a serious season-ending hip injury in November.
A lot of the guys, the general managers, the owners that I've got to talk to kind of said the same thing. They kind of look at this injury as like a knee injury almost, although it's not, in a way that, okay, are we going to take a chance on this guy, or would he be able to possibly do a pro day before the draft and whatnot? Really, the biggest thing they want to do is just see that we can move and we can just be back to how we were playing prior to the injury.
Tua has probably had as much of an impact on our program here as any player that we've ever had. And I'm not just talking about as a football player. There's a spirit about him that has impacted myself and everybody around him in a very, very positive way.
Take a look at the top 10 in the draft. This is the order right now, fixed in stone here. You could probably make a case that half of these teams could be in the quarterback market. Now, Tua is injured, but our draft expert Daniel Jeremiah says he's not going to be waiting long on draft day.
Well, the 2020 NFL Draft just got a lot more interesting with Tua Tagovailoa putting his name in the draft class. Look, if he's fully healthy, he's in the mix to be the top overall quarterback selected with Joe Burrow. Even with the complications with the injury and trying to sort all that out, even if he had to miss an entire season, I still feel like Tua will end up being a top 10 pick, likely a top 5 or 6 pick. When you look at the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Chargers, that would be the sweet spot.
From an incoming rookie to a longtime veteran, the Rams are moving on from defensive coordinator Wade Phillips. Rams were in the middle of the pack in points allowed this season. Phillips is 72 years old. He tweeted his thanks to the Rams for the opportunity and says he still wants to coach.
Saturday's winner, AFC South.
What a play!
Titans or Texans? Who wins again? And who made the best plays of Wild Card Weekend? And then there were 8. Are they, though, the 8 that you thought they'd be? Kind of a wild card weekend, the most watched since 2016 in the first weekend. This guy's been a fan in 18 weeks.
Yes, great to be on my couch with the tens of millions of you who watched postseason football this weekend. And unlimited bathroom breaks, it's heavenly.
Okay, and that's all I want to hear about that. Welcome to NFL Total Access with Scott Hansen. I'm Lindsay Rose.
We start with the future of the Dallas Cowboys. Major news today as Dallas has hired Mike McCarthy to be their next head coach. McCarthy was out of football last year but made the playoffs in 9 of his 13 seasons in Green Bay. And he is a Super Bowl champion, winning it all back in Super Bowl 45 almost a decade ago. NFL media insider Ian Rappaport joins us now. Ian, last week seemed a bit awkward, quite frankly, in Dallas. It was a